and people can get over the fact that Zack Snyder films dark movies because that's fucking Zack Snyder.
Right,
and he doesn't.
And
it's
DC
not that he doesn't
is
have a
already
choice.
pretty
It's
dark.
that that's what he does. That's
what he does, man. So, all right, 2 weeks.
It has been officially 2 weeks.
We are 30 minutes into this podcast.
So if you have not seen Power Rangers, turn it off.
Turn it off, because we are going to talk Power Rangers, and we're going to talk about the future of Power Rangers for the next 14 minutes and 30 seconds.
Perfect.
So this is your fair warning. Give you a minute. If you decide to turn it off, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Otherwise, stick around, and we're going to talk some Power Rangers real quick with the Power Rangers king nerd over here as he giggles next to his fucking Cardinals hat.
So I love the movie.
I think we all love the movie.
I was going to say,
this movie, I'm not a big Power Rangers guy, and I hate it. I've hated the TV shows forever.
What? Really? I don't think you've mentioned that.
Yeah. But I've now seen this movie twice, and I've now cried in it, twice.
Billy?
Oh my god, every time, man.
Poor Billy. Billy really is like the heart of this movie.
So this movie opens up with
the battlefield.
Era.
Well, yeah, but it reminds me of the R-rated YouTube video
that I showed you guys.
A lot of it is super similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're shooting guns at like spaceships and shit.
Yeah.
But we find out the gate, a theory that we had before we knew a whole lot about it, that Rita is a Green Ranger.
Yep, she was the Green Ranger.
And she has basically said that we can control the universe, and we got to get this crystal and all this stuff, and it's Zordon is the Red Ranger, and he's crawling on the ground and trying to hide the power crystals or whatever, and so he
power coins.
Power coins. And then he tells Alpha to send the asteroid down to. That's basically the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, if you think about it,
it was. That's what it actually was.
So
that meteor, was that the Zeo crystal, or
no,
was the Zeo crystal was already on Earth?
Zeo crystal was there because you can see it behind him.
Oh yeah.
The Zeo crystal is split amongst all the planets that can sustain life. That's why they can. So
that's
anytime you remove that Zeo crystal portion from whatever planet, it kills the planet's ability to do it.
All life.
Yeah.
Don't you think it would have been buried in the ground a little bit further?
Well, with the asteroid hitting, it went wherever.
No, I'm talking about like in the movie. Like
in the Cenozoic era.
No, I'm saying like in modern times, like Goldar didn't really dig that deep.
Well, he dug deep enough to put a freaking.
Too. I mean, Cenozoic era to now, continental drift,
Pangea.
Yeah, I mean,
all
a lot of
stuff
happened.
Yeah.
So I mean, they kind of allude to they actually had the fight there in California, which doesn't make any fucking sense, but whatever. It's all changed.
California, they weren't in California.
That's where it like zeroed in.
That's where Angel Grove is, though.
Yeah, but in the movie...
On the map, it zeroed in on Northern California.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well,
when Billy's sitting there trying to find out where it is.
Yeah, but I know Angel Grove was in California, but in the movie it looks very Washington.
Yeah, it looks northwest, big time.
Yeah.
But I've
heard Northern California is supposed to be a lot like that, though.
Yeah, the mountains remind me of the Sierra Nevadas. So is where, and that's kind of I paid a lot of attention to that the second time too. Was kind of the setting.
Okay.
So because there's a lot of those kind of forests, those whatever.
Jumping a little bit. Speaking of things that we had to focus on the second time around, the guy who runs that YouTube thing, Variant, he was complaining about that scene where Rita attacks Trini.
Yeah.
And he's like, why doesn't her parents know she's being attacked?
Because
right before that scene, a minivan pulls out of that driveway with her parents and brothers inside of it. That's why, guy.
Yeah,
that's why.
To all those people wanting to throw shade at this shit.
I saw that the first time.
Well, but he didn't. And then
so
he throws shade on the movie because of this.
Because
he's like, I love this movie, but... It's like, shut the fuck up with the butts.
Stop trying to find problems with stuff. Like, this was a great movie. And as you pointed out when we left the theater, Cody, this movie had no right to be that good.
Oh, fuck no, it didn't.
Compared to the source material, which we have watched.
We literally looked at each other, Kaylin and I did, after watching this the first time, and we're like, that was really good.
Yeah, we're just
it should not have been that good.
Like, we were blown away because in all the, like, this is like the age of reboots and remakes, and they all tend to suck. But this is so good.
Well, this is the thing that I've said to you 100 times, not being a fan of the original, is you guys need to, for those fans out there that watch this and say, this is what has to happen next, and this is what has to happen next, and this is what has to happen next, you need to throw all that idea of what Power Rangers is and throw it out the fucking window, because that's not what's going to happen next.
This Power Rangers movie is like BVS because it takes something that we are familiar with and creates an entirely different canon for it.
Yeah.
So this is a whole new Power Rangers universe, obviously, because it's darker.
You asked me about the gold shoulder pads, and I'm like, the Green Ranger's not going to have fucking gold shoulder pads, man.
We don't know that. And
it's
if the Green Ranger does end up having the dragon shield, I think is what it's officially called, I don't want to hear you bitch about it in the theater.
It's not going to happen.
Well, my theory is that Rita uses the staff mostly because it's to keep her similar to how she was. But my theory is that she uses the staff because that's what her fighting skills are based around. And Tommy, whether it's a he or a she. I mean, if it's honestly, if Tommy ends up being a girl, I would not complain. I have no complaints with that.
It needs to be a girl.
At this point, we are rooting for it to be a girl, because then you have a nice even team of 3 guys and 3 girls.
Yeah, not to mention that, but all the cast members want it to be a girl.
But my theory is what if the reason Rita has a staff, like I said, is because she uses that as a weapon, but Tommy's going to use a dagger.
Why?
Because that's what he used in the show.
You got to forget all that shit, man.
You don't know that. That's what you want to happen, but the thing is that a lot of stuff they take is directly canned from the show, and they just make it better. So
they don't click together like Voltron. They get thrown into a pit of lava, and that's how they come together as a Megazord.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, because that visually,
Goldar
that's
is
better.
6 foot tall and a puppet, whereas this is made of molten gold
and
that
20
moves.
feet tall.
And, 30 feet fucking tall.
And why can't the Green Ranger, Tommy, could totally have a dagger. It's fine.
That's fine, but who the fuck uses a goddamn dagger? It's
Plenty
a
of
fucking
people.
dagger.
That dagger is like this fucking big. And by this big, I mean it's about the size of
hopefully
an 18-inch ruler.
Hopefully it's as wide as a fucking foot-long hot dog, too, because that would make sense. It's this fucking wide like it is on the TV show.
Okay,
Doesn't make any goddamn sense, man. It's a square.
It does. If it's like a short sword, you could be agile with it. You can hit all the good points with it.
Let's say they get Cheeseball and ruin this entire franchise because they want to go back to source material.
I think you're just being harsh because you are.
This is not the fucking TV show.
That's fine, but I don't see why someone can't have like a short sword as a weapon.
Though to be fair, we only ever saw Jason's weapon.
He gave it back. And Zordon said you should keep it, and he gave back the sword.
Yeah, he's talking about the Red Ranger sword.
Right, and he gave it back, and he goes, we'll see.
He's like, I might use it again.
Yeah.
But no, my point is why did we only see Jason's? We didn't see... Because Trini uses daggers. That's actually what her weapons are.
And they didn't in this movie.
She has twin daggers, and Billy has that...
Staff. It's a staff, but it breaks into 2 pieces.
So anyway, we're losing focus here. Power Rangers movie itself.
Yes.
Okay, so we go from that, and then we get introduced to these characters in rapid succession. We have Jason, then we have Billy, and then we have Jason, Billy, Kimberly, and then we meet Zach and Trini. And they all kind of meet at this gold mine.
Because they're all like, what the fuck is Billy doing?
Well, Billy goes there
because... explosion.
Well, yeah, he creates an explosion because it reminds him of digging with his dad when his dad was alive and stuff.
Yeah.
But the best part about this is that Billy, as they're carrying a big case down, he looks at Tommy, or at Jason, and he goes, I'm on the spectrum. He goes, what is that, some kind of diet?
Yeah, he's like, what is that, like a exercise routine, like Tybo? And he's like, no, it's a...
diagnosis.
Yeah, he's like, it's a diagnosis. He's like, I know, it's a joke. He's like, that's the problem. I don't understand jokes.
Yeah, so he has autism. Or Asperger's or something along those lines.
He's autistic.
This is the first superhero movie to introduce an autistic superhero and an openly LGBT superhero in Trini.
Yeah. And so this movie is more about these kids... People are going to complain, where's the suits, and all this stuff.
They get the suits.
They get them eventually for the final scene.
The point is that they have to learn to work together and come past all the differences.
And
these are all outcasts. These are all high school outcasts.
And more importantly, loners. They've never had to work as a team.
I got kind of a Breakfast Club vibe with it.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm okay with it because the idea with that worked.
Yeah.
And it did.
It's like Breakfast Club meets Lemonade Mouth meets...
We should start a band. love that shit.
That
was so great.
And I love Lemonade Mouth too. Oh my god.
I liked it, but it's been a while since I've watched it.
It's like one of the only Disney movies I really love.
Well, that's because everybody in the movie that sings or plays an instrument is actually singing or playing the instrument.
And the redheaded kid raps, and man, he put out an album.
Adam Hicks.
Yeah. But yeah, and so this explosion happens. They find the crystals. They go to bed. Well,
coins.
First the coins or whatever. They try to get out of the gold mine
and they get hit by a train.
And then they wake up and there's like no explanation as to how they got home. There's like
we can't remember.
Well, don't you think he would have said, "Hey, I rescued you from a train"?
But didn't you say they can teleport?
Well, they don't teleport using the coins, at least not in the show, which they could have changed.
No, it's like in their
you see the lights glow. You know what I'm saying? You see the lights glow. So maybe
that's like the
coins save them.
I mean, obviously, like that's the coins like fusing, I guess, or making a connection with the people who have them.
And maybe they sent them to a safe space, which would be their home.
Possibly, or maybe they walked. Because Jason, when he woke up, his or his knee thing was like broken off.
But it was wrecked from the wreck. But it was still
true.
there. But yeah, and then they go back, and that's when they find Trini up on top of a mountain, and then Billy jumps across the gap.
And he falls.
And then he falls back. He's like, I made it! And then he falls back, and that's when they find the spaceship and stuff. And
you guys should really come down here!
Yeah, and the training starts, and it's... Eventually, the first person to pop, or to connect with the morphin grid is Billy, because he's breaking up the fight between the two guys, because this becomes his family for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And, that was the importance of that bonfire scene when Zack says, I'm going to stay here, guys. After Zordon kicks them all out.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to stay here. And they sit around and they tell each other their secrets. And, of course, Kimberly's is like some high school bullshit. And she refuses to tell him, and then they cut the scene where her and Jason kiss.
I actually read an article about that. The director, believe it was the director, said he cut it out because it was unnecessary, and it would have only served to move Jason's plot line further while diminishing Kimberly's value, as just using her as a plot device for Jason.
But it would have made the stairs at the end, whenever they were holding their ground against Goldar. Whenever they were holding their ground against Goldar, it would have made those looks back and forth, I think, that much more powerful if they had left it in.
No.
That's just me being a romantic, though.
I think it's just better as them, like, so far as friends and just thinking of each other more as a family than, like, boyfriend, girlfriend.
I get that.
A lot of people who were fans of the original are, like, shipped Kimberly and Jason. Yeah. But then Jason ends up leaving, and then it's Kimberly and Tommy. Yeah. Who we see at the very end.
The original... are taking pictures of the Megazord.
I hope they come back in the sequel as Tommy Oliver's parents.
You and I said that, yeah.
That would be great.
That would be amazing if that's Tommy Oliver's parents. But so the cast has come out openly and said that they want Tommy to be a girl.
Which I'm fine with.
And at the very end of the movie, if you guys go to see this movie, we haven't said too much, but if you guys go to see this movie, stay... through the credits, because there is
not the whole credits, but there's like the main credits where it's
a mid-credit scene where they see the jacket.
And to further prove that Tommy should be a girl, if we're following Ranger logic, Cody, there has never been a male Pink Ranger. Can you think of a male Yellow Ranger?
Yeah.
Who?
The Yellow Ranger for Ninja Storm was a guy.
He was Mexican. Oh, Wind or something?
Yeah.
But usually it's a girl. It's usually the girl's the Yellow Ranger.
Yeah, usually. But I mean, there's a few instances of male Yellow Rangers.
Okay, so Rita is the Green Ranger. So following Ranger logic, her
should be a girl. Next
one should be a girl, since she is a Green Ranger.
I just think it would make sense. Let Joss Whedon write it. that brings us back full circle to what we started talking about.
Yeah.
So, Power Rangers, go see it. I know I'm going to own it. And my daughter wants to get a poster of it. She's absolutely in love with that movie. But Billy was my absolute favorite.
Kimberly.
Yeah, of course.
Mine was probably, honestly, Billy too. Like,
Billy's the best. Billy dies and comes back, and Zordon sacrifices his opportunity to come back to life. Yeah, and I cried. I cried probably 3 times the first time and 2 times the second time.
Good.
Choked up again. But anyway, thanks for joining us. The Comic Book Podcast. Thank you to Maher, Rock Bottom Comics. Everyone would give thanks to. Google search us as the Comic Book Podcast. try to leave us a ratings on iTunes, and drop us a line. Thecomicboot@gmail.com. I'm James.
I'm Kalen.
I'm Cody.
We'll see you guys on Thursday.